Welcome back to the TwinSpires jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to talk our best bets and fades of the week at Oaklawn, Turfway Park, and more. It's a little bit lighter on stakes action this week, but we still have plenty of racing to talk about. And James, I'll start with you today. Tell us your best bet of the week and where you're going to play that.
Well, thank you, Ashley. My best bet of the week is number 6, Excellent Man, in the 7th race at Oaklawn Park on Saturday. This is a maiden special weight at 6 furlongs, and Excellent Men, excuse me if I said man, Excellent Men will be making his 3rd start for David Jacobson, 4th start overall. And I really like the last 2 efforts in the last 2 races he exits. 2 starts back at Laurel Park, he ran second to Tarico, who has been bet down to like odds on in both starts for Brittany Russell. He's owned by Matikit, SF Racing, Starlight, etc. That Tarico's pretty well regarded, at least right now. And then last time at Aqueduct on November 12th, Excellent Men showed improved speed and wound up 3rd to Savings Rate. That was a sharp first out winner by Spicetown for Chad Brown. I like that competition. I look at this field. A lot of these horses are exiting maiden races that I've gone back and researched, and I didn't think they were strong fields. Horses they ran against haven't come back and run well since. You do have a first-time starter who's trained by Brad Cox with big money, but I'm going to go with the horse with the experience. Ramon Vasquez, top jock at Oaklawn potentially this winter, picks up the mount, and I like Excellent Men in race 7. Darin.
Yeah, Jacobson might be keen on setting that horse to Turfway the way the Mendelssohns have been performing over the synthetic surface. But yeah, I like the pick there. I'm going to have a bit of a price play in just a straight up starter allowance event Saturday night at Turfway Park, race number 2. Number 6, English Challenge, makes his return to Turfway. This is going to be the 4th consecutive season that he's run over the synthetic surface. This is a horse for the course. 5 of his 8 lifetime wins have come at Turfway Park. 6 of his lifetime wins, and that's 6 for 8 lifetime over the synthetic surface. He's been running fine over the turf at Horseshoe Indianapolis and Belterra, but his figures and his form really has stepped up at Turfway Park each of the last couple of seasons. He's a better horse now than he's been at age 7 in each of the past couple of years. He's been exiting some tough starter allowance optional claiming company. I really like the way Cedillo has been riding so far this meet at Turfway, and this race certainly does have a good amount of speed to set things up for his late rally. So we're going to take the horse for the course angle at a price. Probably going to pair him up with Nicholas Jones, who's coming out of some of the similar races at Horseshoe Indianapolis. But we like the price on number 6, English Challenge, in race number 2 Saturday night at Turfway, Ashley.
All right. I like the 12-1. Any concern coming off that layoff with the trainer stats on that one?
Not really, because I think they turf season ended at Horseshoe Indianapolis back at the end of October, and they just pointed this horse then to the synthetic because Turfway's been his winter home each of the past few seasons. He's a solid and probably better horse on the synthetic. They get a couple of good workouts underneath him, train him up to this particular spot. Been training over at Turfway. Had a workout 49-2 the other day. I think he's cranked and ready to go for his winter debut at Turfway.
All right, and I'm going to take it back over to Oaklawn and talk about race 3. I'm going with number 5, Back to Ohio at 7-2 in a 6 furlong allowance optional claimer. This is a 3-year-old midshipman filly who has won 2 straight and 8 for 9 for her career. Her only loss was stretching out and trying turf, and then came in 2nd there. So I'm going with Back to Ohio because she won a stakes at Mahoning Valley last out at today's distance, winning by a length. She is 4 for 4 at 6 furlongs. And trainer Larry Rivelli is a 33% winner with horses that won their last race and a 31% winner at the allowance level. I'm going to take that price at 7-2 because the morning line favorite Lilo at 2-1 has a bad case of seconditis. So going with that 7-2 choice at Oaklawn.
Yeah, James, whenever you see a $385,000 yearling Ohio bred, you have to figure that they're on to something. And this filly has been an Amazon in the Buckeye State.
Yeah. That was 2-year-old in training, and she could obviously run there. And the one time they did ship her out, the last time I guess they shipped her out to Prescott Downs, she won a stake race there. So, yeah, I mean, she's a win machine back to Ohio, and it's I like seeing these real top like state breds when they face open rivals like this. This isn't too difficult a spot, and I think Ashley could be onto something.
All right, well, let's talk about the horses we're fading at a short price. Who you got, Darin?
Yeah, there's a huge stakes race Saturday night at Turfway Park, the Prairie Bayou, which is the first of a string of stakes leading up to the Kentucky Cup Classic there. It's race number 7 on the program, $125,000 purse. And this race came up incredibly tough with multiple graded stakes winners in the field. And because of that reason, I am going to fade the morning line favorite, Wolfie's Dying Ghost. I know this is a horse that runs extremely well in synthetic 4-for-6 lifetime, but there's a lot of speed in this race. There's a lot of talent and ability in this race. You've got young up and coming horses. You've got some unknowns. I mean, Hush of a Storm, who's been a synthetic specialist his entire life and is in tremendous form right now, is 12-1 on the morning line. I do think there's going to be an honest enough setup. There's speed to the inside. There's speed to the outside. Wolfie's Dying Ghost is going to want to have to go forward as well. So for my money, this is just far too competitive of a race to settle on the favorite. I don't have a strong inclination yet of who I like in the race. What I do know is that I think there's any one of 6 or 7 that can win. And because of that, James, 2-1 morning line favorite is going to be a stone cold play against.
Yeah, it's a nice field. Definitely a good race. And Wolfie's Dying Ghost, when he won the Kentucky Turf Classic last year, he just dominated that race on the front end. I agree with your pace analysis. There's speed to his inside. He won't get an easy lead. Doesn't mean he won't win, but it's a tough spot to be coming back. And I thought those races at Woodbine were a little bit suspect. Those were pretty soft stakes races. So I like that fade. My fade comes in the first race. It's at Turfway Park Saturday night, excuse me. Number 2, Senor Joe Beam is a 5-2 morning line favorite in race 1. This gelding was claimed by Steve Asmussen this summer. I thought he was claimed from a very soft race. It was a claimer race. That's actually his only win this year for Senor Joe Beam, and you had 6 horses across the track in deep stretch that could have won that race that day at Saratoga. This 9-year-old gelding's gone off form since then, and what I really don't like about him is he's struggling to get out of the starting gate. That's a bad recipe at low odds, so I'm going to fade number 2, Senor Joe Beam, in race 1 at Turfway, Ashley.
Yeah, and Steve Asmussen can't win a race at Turfway Park.
Yeah.
0 for 15 coming in for as well. But yeah, I completely agree with you because Randello was going to win that race. So definitely a stone cold play against for me as well.
Yeah, I was going to say Steve Asmussen is 6% winner on all weather in 147 starts. So that's not too good of a percentage. So I think I'll fade him as well. I'm going to take it over to Oaklawn for the Tinsel Stakes. This is race 9, and number 4 Speed Bias might be tempting to back because he's dropping in class here. This is a 4-year-old Uncle Mo colt who's coming off a neck third in a grade 2 at Keeneland at today's distance, and he had a 100 bris net speed figure. But he's 0 for 4 from this distance. I feel like he does a little bit better at shorter distances. And he has 1 win from 6 starts at Oaklawn. His trainer is also an 8% winner in non-graded stakes. And Speed Bias is picking up a new rider here as well. He did look sharp in recent workouts, but I think he's going to get caught up in a speed duel with who actually ended up becoming the morning line favorite, number 2 Strong Quality, coming off a 9 1/4 length romp in an allowance optional claimer at Churchill at 1 1/16 of a mile, and had a 103 brisnet speed figure in that race as a Mark Cassie runner with Florent Giroux aboard, who's 3 for 4 paired with Cassie over the last 2 months. Now I'm also going to fade this horse as well, hoping that the 2 of them will get caught in that speed duel and open up potentially a later runner. Maybe we'll have number 6 Ardenwood come through. This is a horse that just won a handicap at Delaware Park, racing 1 mile and 70 yards, and he's picking up Chris Landeros, a 22% winner this meet. And there's also a decent chance of rain this week as well, and he's 3 for 3 on off track. So I like this runner at a longer price. And then there's also Dinnington for Kenny McPeak. You may remember from the road to the Kentucky Derby. He's a closer who I think has a chance here too if we have that hot pace, and he can come in late as well. What do y'all think?
I like it. Yes. Speed Bias. He doesn't win very often. He's winless from 4 starts at the 1 8 distance. I agree with Strong Quality getting out there to his inside on the lead. He got 8 of his 14 starts. He's finished 2nd or 3rd. So maybe in the vertical exotics, but I like that fade of Speed Bias.
All right. Before we move on, Darin, it's your turn to tell us about the promos at TwinSpires.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about every promo because we've got some great stuff going on this weekend. Have to remind you about the 10 times wager rewards for the Bayou Bluegrass. That's the combination of Fairgrounds and Turfway Park where we're offering 10 times wager rewards. Be sure to be opted in. You're getting 10 times on every wager there. Big on the hit it and split it's this coming weekend. Fairgrounds Fridays, $2,500 late pick 5, hit it and split it. And Saturday and Sunday, $2,500 late pick 5, hit it and split it on Oaklawn Park. So giving you some of the best value in those great pick 5 pools at the fairgrounds and Oaklawn. And also want to remind you about our Gulfstream Park daily double down every Saturday. 25% bonus on winning daily double wagers at Gulfstream Park. So we truly have something for all the players out there. No surprise, actually, some great promotions at TwinSpires.
All right, and James, let's talk some more racing across the country. What else are you watching for this weekend?
I'll be watching to see if BD Saints. He's number 9, and Aqueduct has a pair of New York Brits, New York Stallions Series stakes for 2-year-olds, the Great White Way and the Fifth Avenue. And in the Great White Way, number 9 BD Saints is exiting a runner-up effort in the Sleepy Hollow States in late October. That was pretty remarkable considering the disastrous start he got off to. Got checked a few steps, about 2 jumps out of the starting gate, and spotted the entire field several lengths. Raced far back until launching his move nearing the conclusion of the far turn. BD Saints did. And he nearly ran past the entire field while way wide out in the middle of the track. It was like, I mean, I always love watching those late runs like that. Now, with that being said, it came in the mud, and sometimes those like dramatic late runs for second or third, horses can't back them up. They're unreliable in a handicapping sense. But I look at BD Saints. He's a 2-year-old. He broke his maiden this summer on the turf. I know he can get out of the starting gate from his past starts. So I still think he's got some potential for Linda Rice, and I'll be watching to see if he can carry his form forward from that eye-catching second last time, Darin.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to handicapping those races for my expert picks on Saturday. Some good fields at Aqueduct. Going to be an interesting New York Stallion series. I'm going to head across the pond and to the other side of the Pacific, in fact, heading over to Japan as they have begun their Japan road to the Kentucky Derby. One of the races in that series took place just the other night. I am not going to try to say the name of it because I do not want to butcher it, but a horse won by the name of Forever Young. Forever Young is a son of Real Steel, who was a Japanese runner on on turf. Who is a product of Deep Impact from the Sunday Silence family on the paternal side. On the dam side, this horse is a son of a Grade 2 winner on American Dirt, and that mare was a daughter of Darling My Darling, who was a tremendous Grade 1 performer on American Dirt. This horse is bred for the American Dirt, is bred to run all day, and if you went back and watched the race, he is a long, bounding, beautiful son of Real Steel, who, when they hit the top of the stretch, and he looked like he had a bit of a challenge on his hands, he switched leads and just has this unbelievably long stride that just gobbles up the ground. And he rolled home under minimal urging to dominate the field. He's now unbeaten in 3 lifetime starts. This is the same race that produced Derma Sotogake last year, who ran a very inspiring race in the Kentucky Derby after a very tough beginning, and then went on to run second off of a 6-month layoff since the Derby in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It is time to pay very close attention to these Japanese dirt runners as they're heading on the road to the Kentucky Derby. And guys, this horse for me is legitimate, and I think is going to be a very intriguing prospect come next spring.
The last 2 winners of the UAE Derby were both based in Japan. They both ran in the Kentucky Derby. In fact, we had a second Japanese horse last year that went and prepped in the Santa Anita Derby that got into the field. So, yeah, the Japanese are pursuing it, and their dirt racing has improved in recent years. And be interesting to see if one ever qualifies by strictly running in that Japanese road to the Derby, or if they continue to go perhaps to Dubai in March and try to get in that way.
I have to say, last year, everyone got in my head about these Japanese runners before the Derby, and everyone was saying Derma Sotogake is the horse. And then Mandarin Hero, I actually liked a little bit better, having run at Santa Anita, and then Mandarin Hero was way back there. Derma Sotogake, of course, came in 5th, 6th. So, yeah. Darin, are you saying you think this horse might actually be the one that can win the Derby?
I listen. I mean, we are 6 months out, so we have 5 months out, so there's a lot of time. I'm just saying that this horse has a stone cold American Dirt pedigree on the dam side. Darling My Darling was a sensational horse, a Grade 1 winner, And if you just watch this horse's action, this is not one of those kind of goofy looking international horses that refuses to change leads and is running awkwardly on the left lead. This was hit the top of the stretch, switch leads, say goodbye, close out the lights. And he is a good looking horse. So I'm just saying every year these horses are going to get a little bit better. And one of these years, one of them is going to show up and win.
All right, well, keep an eye out and see what happens. Well, I'm going to take it over to Gulfstream Park. We have the Alan Jerkens, a 2-mile turf test on Saturday. And now there's rain in the forecast. I was told by a coworker that you have a nickname, Darin. It's Doppler Darin. You told us about the Aqueduct forecast, and I don't want to rain on your parade or steal your thunder, but I've got a little forecast as well. There is a 100% chance of rain on Saturday at Gulfstream. So we're likely to see this race go off the turf. And in that case, it would be 1 5/8 of a mile on the all-weather track. And if we do have that happen, which is very, very likely, then number 1 Value Engineering won this race last year when it went on all-weather. So definitely look out for that runner looking to defend his title. But we also have 6- for Todd Pletcher coming off a 4th by just 3/4 of a length at 1 1/16 of a mile on all-weather. Gets Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard, who's a 28% winner this meet at Gulfstream. And if we're sticking to turf, which is unlikely, but if we do, we only have one runner who has tried that 2-mile distance in number 8, McLovin. He's coming off a 1-length win in a non-graded stakes at Far Hills. And then if we do, like I said, if we stay on turf, the horse I like is number 4, F5, who I think is interesting, dropping in class and stretching out for Brian Lynch. And he's getting Luis Saez aboard. So I don't know what's going to happen with this race being on turf. It's very, very unlikely. But if it does come off, look at Value Engineering. I think has a good shot. Always runs well at Gulfstream as well. Y'all have any thoughts on that? You're going to stay away from that race?
I think it's definitely coming off the turf.
There we go. I wanted to make sure before I said anything. Darin's got it off the turf, so
yeah, it's definitely coming off. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they'll be lucky to get the card in. There's a ton of rain in the forecast for South Florida, but it's an intriguing race either way. But yeah, definitely pay attention to the horses that run well over the synthetic if it does come off. It's going to be an interesting race one way or the other.
Yeah. All right, that's all the time we have today for the TwinSpires jury. Check out those promos that Darin mentioned, and we'll see you next week with more best bets and fades.